Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching and Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channels. Got over 1,700 here on the Pro Wrestling Logic side of things. This is the All Star Wrestling review for the 1978 November 4th edition. And Bruno Sammartino joins commentary. Did not realize that Bruno had done commentary this far back in history. So that's kind of cool to kind of check that out a little bit. The 4th of November, drawing to the close of the year, Bruno's debut as a commentator on the show alongside Vince McMahon, including Freddie Blassie being interviewed by Vince and Spiro Sarion and Victor Rivera at ringside. Of course, Rivera turning his back on the babyface side of things over the last little while. SD Jones fighting Johnny Rouse, 10-minute time limit draw. These 10-minute time limit draws, probably not exciting for the majority of people, but they give them reason to go around at the house shows, which is the whole point of a draw. Anyway, SD Jones here in 78, still considered a major force. SD Jones, gets tied up a little bit here, and his opponent here hooks up on the arm a little bit, stays on that arm for a good bit of time. Not exactly not forever, but Johnny Rods certainly staying on the arm. Of course, Rods is known as a guy who does a lot of training. Everybody from Bubba Dudley to Tommy Dreamer to Matt Stryker and all points in between, training this individual and kind of working his way around. Rod's really good on the canvas, side headlocks and head scissors by Jones. Jones managing to get back to his feet. Love these type of matches because it's so basic. There's an art form to it. Every move matters. Everybody's trying to win on a consistent basis. Rods finally gets frustrated at a midpoint in the match. Starts to try to cheat, punch, kick, and the like. Comes out of it after a little while. Does not get everything he wants out of the process, but gets almost enough anyway. Some shots into the buckle, and then Ross comes back with a kick under the chin, and ultimately manages to get things going back in his general direction pretty consistently here. Drop kick into the midsection, and ultimately, that is going beyond there. As mentioned, both guys go to a time limit draw, which isn't exactly flashy, but it is effective in making fans potentially want to see these two do battle in the future enough to get a run of an attempt to, maybe fight around the house show circuit. Dominic DeNucci and Dino Bravo, who have been former tag team champions, teaming up again here. Jose Estrada and Danny O'Hannon are their opponents, and Bravo wins with the airplane spin. Again, amazing that Bravo, who most people know either for his Canadian work or his late 80s, early 90s run in that position. Of course, DeNucci, known primarily as a trainer, he manages to be willing to take a couple of shots in there, and DeNucci gets cut off. Black singlet, not exactly flattering for DeNucci. Meanwhile, the heels cut the ring off on DeNucci, try to double team him, and do succeed in double teaming him for several minutes. O'Hannon spends the majority of time trying to cut the ring off, and we finally get a tag. Obviously, Dino Bravo, when he finally gets in there, a little more aggressive, assertive, backdropping his opponents around the ring and hitting a couple body slams. More offensive maneuvers than ever before, with that eventually getting the series of backdrops and body slams and all that out of there. And then we see Classy Freddie Blassie bringing his men out. Arion and Rivera both want competition. They both believe that they're being discriminated against. Blassie saying they're going to be tag team champions in the not too distant future, or world champion. He says everyone is ducking him, ducking them, and Blassie is not happy. Blassie then takes his talents into the ring for a match of, I guess, reasonable consternation. This time, we move towards a match wherein Tony Garea and Larry Zbyszko fighting Spiros Arion and Victor Rivera with Freddie Blassie when all four guys are brawling in the ring. Obviously, the baby faces here are Garea and Zbyszko. Also, obviously, though, is kind of interesting is that in the end, kind of get caught off guard with the idea of that being a pretty big deal here, as Zbyszko and Garea are pretty regular teams. Of course, Rivera coming in, going after Zbyszko pretty heavily, sending him into the buckle, and both guys trying to get an advantage. Spiros Arion near retirement, but still managing to not phone it in at this point in his career and youngster. Freddie Blassie trying to get his man down into a less than friendly position. Garea gets tied up in a several minute long reverse chin lock. Not exactly worth writing home about, but the match continues there. And as mentioned, your baby faces and heels do end up getting a double disqualification, unable to finish the contest because they can't stop or won't stop or can't stop and won't stop brawling in the middle of the ring. Crusher Blackwell with the Grand Wizard defeats Steve King with a half crab, which is a weird thing for a guy like Blackwell to utilize, but also putting over the power, even if it's not the backbreaker like we'd seen in previous weeks, months, and such. It's still the idea that, in fact, Steve King and or anybody is not enough competition for Crusher Blackwell, and Blackwell is consistently and rather loudly, actually, demanding competition. Then we've got the final match of the program, which is Chief Jay Strongbow making his, I guess you'd say, return, defeating Tony Russo 525 with a double tomahawk chop. Strongbow had been here in the earlier 70s. I think this is the first time we see him in this particular run, though. And the Native American thing still a major deal at the time in 1978. We will then kind of see Strongbow slides through, gets a couple of shots under the chin. Strongbow not exactly looking like $1 million, maybe put on a little extra weight, but again, Strongbow continues to fight from underneath. Russo takes over on his man, sending him into the buckle, bunches of brawling and other such things. Strongbow obviously does a good bit of selling, the majority of which is on his feet, though he doesn't seem to bump too terribly much. Chokeout and other illegal tactics by Russo, who does not seem to care one little bit, running knee lift and a series of them actually, and then the double tomahawk chop for the victory by Chief Jay Strongbow. We close on that note, and we will be back with more right after this.